Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Have you ever felt like there are some things in this world that just don't make sense? Like, why do people act the way they do, or why do certain things happen? Well, it turns out that a lot of these things can be explained by dark psychology. So what is dark psychology? It's the study of how people's behavior can sometimes be irrational and even evil. But don't worry, we're not going to talk about anything too graphic here. Instead, we'll be covering 10 dark psychology facts that will blow your mind. From lying to gaslighting, these are all things that can happen to anyone, so be sure to stay sharp and pay attention. You never know when you might need to use this knowledge to protect yourself from a manipulative situation. Ready for some scary psychology facts? Let's go, no one. The Pinocchio Effect. We all love a good story, especially if it involves some juicy gossip. But have you ever noticed how people can stretch the truth just a little bit too far? Sometimes what starts off as a small white lie can quickly turn into an elaborate Pinocchio story with wild details that just are unquite true. People who indulge in this behavior are known as fabulists. They have a tendency to embellish their stories to such an extent that it becomes clear they've made up the whole thing. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people were more likely to believe false information if it was presented in a narrative form rather than in bullet points. So the next time you hear someone telling a tall tale, be sure to keep an eye out for any red flags. After all, you never know what might be true and what might be pure fiction. Number 2, crying could make you feel better. Have you ever cried so hard that your eyes were all red and puffy? We've all had those moments where our emotions get the better of us, and we can't help but let the tears flow. But did you know that crying could actually make you feel better? According to a recent study from the University of South Florida, crying could actually reduce stress levels by helping us release pent-up emotions. The study found that participants who cried during a stressful task reported feeling less negative emotions and were able to focus better afterwards. So next time you're feeling overwhelmed with emotions, don't be afraid to let them out. Just make sure to have some tissues handy. 3, you can't trust anyone. We all like to think that we can trust the people around us, whether it's our friends, family, or colleagues. But according to psychologist Leon Festinger's social comparison theory, it turns out that we can't trust anyone completely. This theory suggests that we constantly compare ourselves to others in order to better understand our own abilities and opinions. And this comparison can often lead to us believing that someone else has it better than us, which can cause feelings of jealousy and resentment. So while it's important to surround yourself with trustworthy people, it's also crucial to remember that everyone has their own struggles, and no one has it all together. So be careful of who you trust and be mindful of the comparisons you make with others. 4, reverse psychology works. Have you ever tried reverse psychology and wondered how well it really works? Turns out it's a tactic that has been studied extensively by psychologists, and the results are pretty fascinating. According to research, reverse psychology can be an effective way to influence someone's behavior by getting them to do the opposite of what you want them to do. One classic study, published in Human Relations in 1957, found that employees were more likely to comply with a request if it was framed in terms of how it would benefit them personally, rather than in terms of how it would benefit the company. For example, instead of saying you should wear a seatbelt because it's safer, try saying you should wear a seatbelt because you wouldn't want to be seen as reckless, would you? By framing the request in a way that appeals to their self-image, people were more likely to comply. However, it's important to note that reverse psychology can backfire. If the person you're retrying to persuade is aware of your tactics, so use it wisely and sparingly. 5, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We all like to think that we have good taste, whether it's in fashion or art. But according to research, in aesthetics, beauty is actually in the eye of the beholder. In other words, what one person finds attractive, another may not. One study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology in 2006 found that people who were shown to faces rated the face that matched their own genetic makeup as more attractive. This suggests that our own genes play a role in shaping our preferences and facial attractiveness. So the next time you're admiring someone's good looks, remember that beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder. 6, subliminal messages work. Have you ever heard of subliminal messages? These are supposed to be messages that are presented to us below the threshold of our conscious awareness, meaning we don't consciously perceive them, but they still influence our thoughts and behavior. While the effectiveness of subliminal messages has been debated for years, research suggests that they can have a subtle impact on us. One study published in the journal Scientific American in 1998 found that subliminal messages can influence our mood and behavior for a brief period of time. The researchers presented positive and negative words to participants below the threshold of conscious perception and found that participants' moods were affected accordingly. So while subliminal messages may not be as powerful as what you see in the movies, they can still have an impact on us in subtle ways. No. 7. Revenge is sweet. We've all been wronged at some point in our lives, whether it's a broken friendship, a lost job, or a bad breakup. And in those moments, we may find ourselves consumed with thoughts of revenge. But according to research, revenge may actually be a natural and even beneficial response to being mistreated. A study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology in 2013 found that people who were allowed to express their desire for revenge after being mistreated experienced reduced levels of anger and were more likely to forgive the person who wronged them. However, it's important to note that the desire for revenge may not always be a good thing. A different study published in the same journal in 2014 found that people who harbored feelings of revenge were more likely to engage in ruminative thinking, meaning they tended to dwell on negative thoughts and emotions, which can lead to a variety of psychological problems. So while revenge may be sweet, it's important to find healthy and constructive ways to deal with anger and conflict. No. 8. Cheating is common. We all hate to admit it, but cheating is a common behavior that many of us are guilty of. Whether it's cheating on a test, cheating on our diet, or cheating on our partner, we've all done our fair share of cheating in one form or another. Research suggests that cheating is a result of a combination of factors, including situational factors, such as the presence of temptations, as well as individual factors, such as our own moral standards and self-control. One study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology in 2002 found that people were more likely to cheat on their diet when they were in the presence of highly palatable foods such as cookies and pizza. Another study published in the same journal in 2007 found that people were more likely to cheat on their partner if they had low levels of self-control. So while cheating may be common, it's important to remember that it's not always the best policy. No. 9. Good grades are more important than looks. We all want to be accepted and admired by our peers, which can lead us to prioritize our appearance over our grades. But according to research, good grades may be a more important factor in getting ahead in life than good looks. A study published in the Journal of Positive Psychology in 2008 found that people who were high in conscientiousness, a personality trait that is associated with good grades, were more likely to achieve career success and relationship satisfaction. Another study published in the same journal in 2011 found that people who were high in agreeableness, a personality trait that is associated with altruism and compassion, were more likely to have close friends and strong community ties. So while good looks may help us stand out, it's our grades and personality traits that will really help us succeed in the long run. 10. People won't come to save you. It's easy to rely on others, whether it's our parents, friends, or romantic partners, but it's important to remember that we're ultimately responsible for ourselves. This can be a difficult pill to swallow, but it's a necessary truth that we must accept in order to become truly independent and self-sufficient adults. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology in 2004 found that people who had a greater sense of autonomy and control over their lives were more likely to report high levels of well-being and life satisfaction. So while it's important to have a support system in place, it's also crucial to remember that we're ultimately responsible for ourselves and our own happiness. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to leave us a like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any of our future videos. Do you know of any other dark psychology facts that we didn't mention in this video? Share them with us in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more about this topic, check out our other videos as well. See you next time.